Good morning, everybody. Parashat Ki Tisha. The first beginning, the beginning already is a problematic. Ki Tisha et Rosh Bnei Israel. We're talking here about counting Am Israel, which is, by the way, not a very easy thing to do, because we're not allowed to count Am Israel. This is why, for example, when you count a minyan, you don't say 1, 2, 3, 4. You say Oshia et amecha v'rech nachlatecha. There's 10 words in the pasuk, and this is the way you count for a minyan. Because counting Am Israel, why it is so terrible? Because when you divide Am Israel like 1, 2, 3, you make each one of them as a private thing. And we are not private thing. We are a whole that is built from private thing. By the way, it's also a very important point. We have to understand we need our individuality. We need our talent, our individual talent, our unique being. Each one of us got a special thing from God, and he has to use it. We're not a copy of nobody. Each one of us got a job that he has to do. But that's the idea. To do this job, you do it for Am Yisrael, not alone. So when you count people, it's like you separate them. We are not separated from one side. From the other side, also counting what? Well, are we oranges, apples, 1, 2, 3, 4? No, we're something much bigger. There are a lot of other explanations. Anyway, that's the reason for the very strange language that the Torah is starting. Ki Tisha et Rosh Adat Bnei Israel. What is Ki Tisha? Ki Tisha is to raise up. When you count, go count Am Yisrael. What's Ki Tifkod? What is Ki Tisha et Rosh? And what's the Rosh, the head? What's the meaning? You're only counting the head. You're counting the whole body, the whole human being. You're counting. But the Torah wants to tell us something very important. Ki Tisha et Rosh. We're talking about after the Chet HaEgel, which is also in our parsha. God said that there is a way to behave. Even if you're now down and your head is in dreda right now, we're saying, raise up your head. Ki Tisha. Tell Am Yisrael, says Kadosh Baruch Hu Moshe Rabbeinu, Ki Tisha. Raise up your heads and go on with life. Start doing things, fixing things. Ki Tisha et Rosh Bnei Israel. That's the meaning of Ki Tisha. Raise up the head, because normally when you have done something wrong, the head goes down, and that's what it tells us. God, don't let your head go down. Doesn't matter what you did, whatever you did, raise up your hand. You are a child of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and as one you can always fix things and raise up your hand. Your head. And the head is where the neshama is, where the brain is. And it's like when you raise up your hand, that makes the difference between you and an animal. An animal goes on 4, everything on the same level. It's the brain, the heart, and the liver on the same level. And unfortunately, the liver is controlling the heart, and the heart controlling the mind. That's what we call the nefesh habe'emit, the beastly soul. It goes in the same level. But a human being, the head is up, and then the heart, and then the liver. And the symbol is neshama, heart, and the beastly soul. Who is in control? The head, the neshama. And that's what we call melech. Melech. Mem is the moach, the brain where the neshama is. Lamed is the lev, the heart, where the excitement is, the feelings. And then at the end, and this is lev, and then at the end comes the kaved. The kaved is chaf, and this where you have a melech. But unfortunately, when you turn up the thing, who is in control? The liver. The liver is like a machine, and when you lead it by the heart, that goes over the desires and lust, and then you come to the brain, then you have klum, kalem, chaf, lamed, mem. So, Ki Tisha et Rosh, already the Torah is telling us something, saying, raise up your head. Doesn't matter what you did. We're talking about the golden calf sin, an unbelievable sin. 2 minutes after they receive the Torah, see God, God speaks with them, they go and worship idols. Of course, there are a lot of explanation, but we're not going to talk about them today. We want to go on. And when we see the Kohanim and what they dress, and then we're going on, 1 minute. after we have the Kohanim with all the clothes, we are going on. 1 minute. Sorry, I made a mistake. We're not talking about the clothes of the Kohanim here, we're talking about Machatzit shekel. I had the wrong parsha. I started like in the written. Ki Tisha et Rosh Bnei Israel, that's right, that we said it's all right. And then it's saying about Machatzit shekel, half a shekel. What is half a shekel? Why half a shekel, not a whole shekel? Here also is the idea of that we are apart from a whole. Now, we never whole if we haven't got the other part. So this is why we have Machatzit shekel, only half a shekel, to symbolize that we need also the other half. The other half is to be a part of Am Yisrael, or the connection with God, with the Torah. This is why God is showing Moshe Rabbeinu a burning coin, half a shekel, underneath Kisei HaKavod, to show us that the idea of the half a Machatzit shekel is to understand and realize that we are a part of Am Yisrael, and we never whole. We only whole when we connect ourselves to all the others. That's why Machatzit shekel, and the poor and the rich are not allowed to bring any less and any more, because the idea of Machatzit shekel. There are a lot of other things in it, but again, we're moving on, and I want to talk about something else. When we're talking here, the work of the Kohanim, they wash their hands, as we said, the Kohanim are here, and then we have the Ketoret, which is very important, and then comes Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur Lamate Yehuda, the one who built the Mishkan, who was in charge, the main architect of the Mishkan. ראה קראתי בשם בצלאל בן אורי בן חור למטה יהודה ואמלא אותו רוח אלוקים בחוכמה ובתבונה ובדעת ובכל מלאכה לחשוב מחשבות לעשות. So we have here a lot of things, but I want to concentrate on one thing. לחשוב מחשבות לעשות, to think thoughts and to do with the gold, the silver and the copper. What does it mean? To think things, to do? Of course. Well, what's the idea? The idea is very simple. A lot of times in life we have good thoughts, but we don't practice, we don't do anything about it. It's nothing. To think doing good and not doing it, you did nothing. From the other side, to do things without thinking is also terrible. You can come to terrible things if you do things without thinking. So you have to think and also to do. It always reminds me a worker that I had years ago, and suddenly we started to get complaint that the stuff is coming with tears and things, and you know, everything is in boxes. We are in a furniture business, and all the things, the chairs and everything comes in boxes, and they are packed very well. And I couldn't understand it. How can it be that we got so many complaints about tears in the furniture? It comes in a box, and the box is 100% secured. I went into the warehouse, and I see one of the workers. He wants to know what's in the box. Instead of reading what's on the label on the box, he is cutting with a knife to see what's inside. And while he's doing it, he's cutting the furniture inside. Unbelievable! I couldn't believe it. He says, "What are you doing?" "No, I want to see what's inside in order to don't make a mistake." "But you're cutting the furniture." Of course, I told him goodbye. But that's the idea. When you think, you have to think, what am I going to do now? And think clearly, think in a good way, and then do it. Don't do things without thinking. Another thing. I used to assemble a lot of furniture in my life. And we had this hammock one day. It came. I said, it's no problem. I did it hundreds of times. So I'm assembling the hammock, and I get to the last part that I have to put together, and suddenly I realize that the screw that I have is too short. It cannot go in. While I thought I'm clever and doing it my way and not looking at the plan how to do it, I used one of the screws that was the long screws in a place, another place that where the short screws supposed to be. The long screws got no problem, went in, but now I had a problem. I had to redone the whole thing and start from all over. So I totally this taught me a lesson, a big lesson in life, that wherever doesn't matter, I look at the plan, how to assemble it. This is to think and to do, and of course the way of thinking. What's the idea of to right away to us that Zahava, Kesef and Nechoshet, the gold, silver and copper, because this is the symbol of the Parnasa. What do you do with your money? Are you worshipping your money? What are you doing with your money? Are you using it for good purposes? Are you using it to do it mitzvahs, or are you doing it to sin? And this is Egel HaZahav, again. So in other words, Lachashov machashavot la'asot, think before you do, and do the right thing with the gold, with the silver, and with anything else. That's a very important point to understand. Then, when we think, we find another very important point in our parasha. And this is the wisdom of the heart. Belev kol chacham lev natati chokhmah. God doesn't want us to do things like we used to do it, because we have to do it. He wants us to do it from the heart, with love. So, lachashov machashavot la'asot, it's not enough. We need to put the heart into it, to do it with our heart, with love to God. That's the way to do things. And this brings us to Shabbos. We cannot talk about our parsha without mentioning Shabbos. Shabbos is written in our parsha, and it's written quite in a long way. And there is a very interesting point. Listen. Achet Shabtotai Tishmoru. Tishmoru is to keep the Shabbos. Ki oti, because it's a sign between you and you. Then I go on. Ushmartem again. Keep the Shabbos. Ushmartem again. Ki kodeshi, because it's holy. Mechalele amot yumat. Ki kol oseh malacha. And then, again Veshamru. And Pasuk Tet Zayin, again Veshamru. And the children of Israel kept the Shabbos la'asot, to do. To do reminds you something? To think and to do. Again, here we've got it, but let's understand why 3 times ushmartem, lishmor. So the first time is oti, it's a sign. Says the Chafetz Chaim, the Torah is a sign of the Jewish nation. The Torah is the sign that you're going in the way of the Torah. The Torah is the sign, like a sign on the shop. When you see a shop and there is a sign on the shop, for example, a clothes shops, a grocery, so you know there is a shop. Even if the shop is now closed, you know that the guy, he's going to come back. Maybe he's on a holiday, maybe he's on a pause, but he's going to come back tomorrow too, because there is a sign. But when you see people taking the sign off, it means that the business is finished, there is no more business. So the Shabbos is the sign of a Jew. When the Shabbos is there, when the Jewish nation keeps Shabbos, even if they do here and there a few things, they're going to come back. They're going to do the good in the eyes of God, because they have the Shabbos. They have the sign. But when you don't keep Shabbos, the ot is not there anymore. You haven't got the sign, so there is nothing there. And the Chafetz Chaim puts it in a very interesting way. It's like marriage. You have the first stage is an engagement, then the marriage, and then what's happened after marriage. It says that's the 3 times it's rolling ushmartem, to keep, to keep, to keep. The first one is ot, it's a sign. What is a sign when a girl gets engaged? A ring, engagement ring. Now when she's got the engagement ring on the finger, as long as she goes and walks in the street with an engagement ring, we know she's engaged. It's going to be a marriage. But when? And it doesn't matter what we hear. We see the engagement ring, marriage is going to come. But when we see the girl walking in the street and the engagement is not there anymore, so out shidduch, it's finished. The shidduch is kaput. There is not going to be a marriage. So that's the first sign, the engagement ring. Then we have the kiddushim. What is written here? Ushmartem et HaShabbat, you will keep the Shabbos. Ki kodesh lachem. Ki kodesh, it's holy. And what is holy? How do we call marriage in Judaism? Kiddushin, holiness. Arei at mekudeshet. You are holy to me. We are getting married. You are holy. This is a holy thing. And that's exactly the Shabbos. The Shabbos is holy. It's the sign between us and God. It's the holiness between us and God. It's holy. It's let's say a connection of holiness, exactly as marriage. Now we are married. Okay, we keep Shabbos. How do we keep Shabbos? You are married. How do you keep your marriage? Are you going on like daily, like as we said, used to it? You don't put any excitement into it. You don't think lachashov machashavot la'asot, that you have to do something about keeping your marriage. Yes, everybody knows that even after years, you need to do something, la'asot, to do something to keep the marriage, to keep this relationship between us and our spouse. And that's exactly the idea between us and God. Okay, we got engagement with Kodesh Baruch Hu. We got married with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Knesset Israel is married to Kodesh Baruch Hu. We have this holy connection. But what do we do about it? How does Shabbos look in our home? Are we doing anything for it? Are we acting for it? Are we doing things to make Shabbos a holy thing? Do we learn on Shabbos? Do we sing Shmirot? Do we say Dvrei Torah on the table? Yes, you can keep Shabbos without doing anything, but that's not what the Torah tells you. The Torah tells you there are 3 shmartem. The first one is the engagement, the connection between us and God. Then we make this connection holy, Kodesh, and then we make sure that it's not only holy, it's full with things that we do and act, as we say it. Lachashov machashavot la'asot. We have to think what is the best thing to do and do. In all the things in life, especially on Shabbos, especially with our relationship with God. And the minute we will do this, lachashov machashavot la'asot, b'za'av v'kesef, with our goals, with our money, with everything, with all our assets, to do the good in the eyes of God, and to keep Shabbos, because Shabbos is our connection to the next world. Shabbos is this connection between us and God, this holy connection, and this is the sign of a Jewish boy, a Jewish man, a Jewish woman, a Jewish nation. And don't forget that each one of us has got a special talent that we have to use together to build Am Yisrael. All the best and have a nice week.